2023 Hempstead Town Board meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Supervisor Clayton.
I am here.
Councilman Green.
Here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Here. Councilwoman Miller. Here. Councilman Mascarello.
Here.
Councilwoman Ryder. Here. Seaver Taxes here.
Okay. Deputy Supervisor, will you please the pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, would you please call the first
Yes.
public hearing?
I will. We have a proposal of the law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking near Lawrence, Levittown, Lido Beach, Oceanside, Point Lookout, Roosevelt, Montauk, West Hempstead, and Woodbury.
Okay, any member of the board wish to hear? I don't have any slips on item number 1. Is anybody who wants to hear item number 1 that did not sign it? If not, please have a motion.
I move that the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Green. Aye. Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby. Aye. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Mascarello.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding parking of standing prohibitions in Belmore, East Meadow, Elmont, near Floral Park, Franklin Square, near Freeport, near Florence, Point Lookout, Roosevelt, Uniondale, and Montauk.
Any member of the board wish to hear? I do have a couple of slips. Item number 2, first I have a Michelle. If you go to the back there and give your name and address, that would be fantastic. Thank you. How you doing?
Well, thanks, how are you?
Good.
Again, I'm Michelle Cabrera. Thank you for the opportunity just to express some of my concerns with regards to this. Hopefully this falls under this, this item. But the reason I'm here today is 66 Nassau Road is the former home of Michelle's Upper Prep, which is back in the day bustling elementary school. And
Is it regarding item number 2?
it's in regards to parking, to commercial industrial parking.
Okay, but we're calling right now the hearing in relation to number 2. Is that address on this, on item number 2? Mr.
It's in Roosevelt. So
No, I know that we do have a public comment section later on, you can speak, but we generally, the rules when we present it on the public speaks to that item that we're voting on.
Okay, the specific address is not in there, but I just figured.
Okay, that's what you stick around. This gentleman right here is from our traffic control. We have a public section later on, not too far away. You can come back, but in the interim, Tom, maybe you can go back and he'll get the information for you to follow up with you. Is that okay?
No problem.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I also have a Tom Moran.
Good evening, that's actually item number 3.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have any other slips on item number 2. Anybody else wish to be heard that incident in item number 2? Okay, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Mascarello.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please go to the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Franklin Square, Oceanside, Point Lookout, Uniondale, and Montauk.
Any member of the board wish to be heard? All right, I do have a slip. Mr. Moran? Good evening again. If you give your name and address to the record, thank you.
Yes. Thomas Moran, 54 Parkside Drive in Point Lookout, New York. Again, my name is Tom Moran. I'm the president of the Point Lookout Civic Association. I'm here tonight in support of the proposal to install stop signs at Lido Boulevard at the intersection of Freeport Avenue. Stop signs at this location is the biggest request we get from our community, and we have not received any opposition to the placement of the stop signs. These stop signs will be placed at the main pedestrian crosswalk in town And we stop drivers and provide a measure of safety to pedestrians at the busiest crosswalk in Point Lookout. There already existed crosswalks at this location, but nothing to stop traffic. There are no stop signs for the entire length of Wheel Boulevard while in Point Lookout. That is 12 blocks without any sort of stop sign to control traffic. These stop signs would force drivers to slow drivers down and stop halfway through town. Finally, there are 4 east-west roads in Point Lookout. The only one of those that does not have a stop sign at Freeport Avenue is Lido Boulevard, which is the main intersection, which is the main road in town. As such, we are asking that you please approve this measure. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Maybe I'll let you just follow up with an email to Councilman Carini about that second request for the stop sign down there. I know you're nice enough to point this one out, Councilman Carini. I really wanted to follow up, but if you could, let us know the other one as well.
Yeah, no, that's totally great. I really appreciate everything you guys did with that. That was a great stop sign.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't have any other slips on this hearing. Anybody else wish to be heard? If not, I lose that motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second motion. Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please go next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding U-turns prohibited in Elmont.
All right, any member of the board wish to be heard? All right, I don't have any slips. Any member of the public did not sign in and wish to be heard on this item? If not, please have a motion.
Move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second that motion.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please go next
We
item.
have a proposed local law regarding restricted parking in residential areas near Belmont Park in the vicinity of Elmont.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips. Anybody wishes to be heard on this item? If not, I please have a motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please go next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding school speed limits in Hewlett and Inwood.
Any member of the board wish to be heard? I don't have any slips. Any member of the public wish to be heard on item number 6? If not, I lose that motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby. Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please go next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding gross weight restrictions in Elmont and South Hempstead.
Any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips. Any member of the public wishes to be heard on this item that did not sign in? If not, I lose that motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Second motion.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please go next item.
We have an item adopting the Town of Hempstead public parking field maps showing parking regulations at certain parking fields in Seaford.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard? I do not have any slips. Anybody wishes to be heard that did not sign into this item? If not, I lose that motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
I second that.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby. Councilwoman Miller. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please go next item.
Our last public hearing is proposed handicap parking on public streets in Elmont, Franklin Square, near Lawrence, Oceanside, Seaford, Uniondale, and near Valley Street.
Any member of the board wish to be heard? If not, I do not have any slips. Anybody in the public wish to be heard on this item? I may please have a motion.
I move the public hearing be closed and the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Boothby. Councilwoman Miller. Councilman Muscarella. Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please go with the administrative calendar.
On the administrative calendar, we have items 10 through 36. I also have 2 items of an emergency or urgent nature. The first is entitled a resolution waiving certain provisions of the town code relative to the Seaford Chamber of Commerce Fall Festival. and to authorize the Commissioner of General Services to execute documents in connection with that function. The second emergency resolution is entitled, Resolution Authorizing the Department of Buildings to issue a building permit with a fee cap in connection with building permit application number 23-6834 and all associated applications, open permits, certificates, and Board of Zoning Appeals fees for the Yeshiva Katana of Long Island for a third-story addition to existing religious school building at the premises located at 321 Dowdy Boulevard in Inwood, Town of Hempstead, Nassau County, New York.
That should be added as.
They will be added as items 37 and 38 on the calendar.
Any member of the board wish to hear the administrative tally? I do not have any slips. Any member of the public wish to hear the administrative tally? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move the administrative tally number 10 through 38.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
That is not.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Booth.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Okay, then, any motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Booth.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Aye.
Now that the formal program of the town board meeting has been adjourned, the town board will remain to listen to the comments of the residents. A number of residents have signed in, and we'll start with Felix Bercacci. Good evening. Give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Felix Bercacci, Franklin Square. In Don Clavin's recent campaign mailing, he says he hasn't raised taxes. This is a lie. On January 5th, 2021, Don Clavin and the entire town board voted unanimously to increase taxes on residents living within the town of Hempstead's water district, Resolution 18118. On March 31st, 2020, after being in office just 3 months, he lied to residents about a $40 million bond resolution for road repair to stimulate the economy. Don Clavin called the press and told them the $40 million was to be spent to help people during the financial downturn due to the pandemic. The town's bond documents show that only $5.9 million was borrowed in 2020, $15 million was borrowed in 2021, and $16 million was borrowed in 2022. So why did Don Clavin lie, saying the $40 million was going to be spent in 2020? The answer is because Don Clavin is a liar, and all residents of the town of Hempstead should be aware of this. On August 4th, 2020, the town board passed a bond resolution to refund $23 million of the town's debt. Before this bond issue even went to market, Don Clavin said he saved taxpayers $750,000. For Don Clavin, lying just comes naturally. At the last meeting, Don Clavin said I acknowledged some good deed Kate Murray did regarding passports. Watch the video, Don. I never said or implied such a thing. For the record, Don, both you and Kate Murray are big on wasteful spending, and Kate's passport program creation was totally unnecessary and has been a big waste of taxpayer money since its inception. To make sure you heard me correctly, I'll repeat myself. Kate Murray's passport program is totally unnecessary and has been a big waste of taxpayer money since its inception. I know you would like to acknowledge what I say when I go back to my seat, so acknowledge this instead of making a misleading statement like you usually do. If you disagree with me, prove me wrong, Don. On your next mailing, just tell people what the cost of taxpayers has been per passport process since the program's inception, and let the voters decide if it's a wasteful program or not. Or are you too scared to tell residents the truth? Yes, Don, I'm asking you to provide truthful information to residents about how you spend their money, and I know you don't want to do this, but residents have a right to know. Finally, for the record, I did not compliment Don Clavin or any elected official during this comment, so please don't believe any remarks by Don Clavin if he says otherwise. Thank you so much. Bye.
I just want to say,
Mr. Bercacci, always a pleasure to have you here. I do want to say thank you very much again for acknowledging the town and residents of the
Liar.
Again, the town of Hempstead will be freezing taxes this year. I know you're upset about freezing taxes. I don't know why, but thank you as always. You're always a pleasure to have you.
Not telling the truth.
Next, I have Noel Bonilla. Noel Daniel? Okay. German Barak? Okay. Pearl Jacobs? How you doing? Your name, Diana, for the record, thank you.
Pearl Jacobs, Uniondale. On September 13th, I and several concerned Nassau County residents participated in the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Community Air Quality Monitoring Call. Findings from the air quality monitoring study from September 1st, 2022 to August 21st, 2023 was shared and discussed. To say that the data shared on this call was disturbing is an understatement, especially regarding the adverse effect that poor air quality is having on communities of color. Due to time constraints of 3 minutes, I will share the information for Uniondale, the host community for the proposed casino project. It was stated on the call that high traffic on Hempstead Turnpike and Uniondale's proximity to Hempstead Turnpike, Meadowbrook Parkway, and Northern Parkway is the primary factor attributing Uniondale's air pollution. In the Department of Environmental Conservation's language, Uniondale's primary source of air pollution is categorized as mobile. The study indicated that the daily traffic counts were high, ranging from 100,000 to 170,000 for cars and 1,500 to 2,500 for trucks. Reference roadways were Hempstead Turnpike, Meadowbrook Parkway, Northern State Parkway, and Oak Street. In DEC language, Uniondale is identified as a location of sensitive receptors, a location that is of high concern for the health of children and elderly who are most susceptible to respiratory illnesses, primarily being asthma. The report also indicated that there were 2 nursing homes, 14 public schools within the location of sensitive receptors. The report also stated that there were no hospitals within the study area. The next step for the New York State DEC is to implement emission reduction strategies with the goal of designing programs and projects to reduce emission and exposure in communities that have been adversely affected by air pollution. It was stated that local government and state Department of Transportation is needed in order to reduce traffic concentrations, and community involvement is extremely important, as stakeholders will need to be informed what an engagement and mitigation project would look like and what a mitigation project would look like going forward. Given those most concerning facts shared by the Department of Environmental Conservation, I would hope that you, as Town of Hempstead Council members that are responsible for the environmental impact study, will make certain that this study is done in an ethical and transparent manner. A casino at the Coliseum location where operating hours would be 24/7 would substantially increase traffic. Imagine adding approximately 30,000 more vehicles to the 100,000 to 170,000 daily average. The result would be further deterioration of Uniondale's already compromised air quality, and then we would just call that environmental racism.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Next, I have Stephanie Chase. Good evening, Ms. Chase. Give me your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Stephanie Chase. I'm from 1223 Woodfield Road, Lakeview, Rockville Center. I had concerns about Eagle Avenue. I spoke to you a couple of months ago. Eagle Avenue and Woodfield Road, there's a construction place, and they've just dumped hideous pieces of construction, like cranes and things, and it's not supposed to be there. From what I understand, it's not zoned for that. Prior to that, it was a apartment building that had burned down, unfortunately. They put a tarp just last week around the fence, but you can still see over the fence. It's not like a high fence, and you can still see all the equipment, and it's not supposed to be there. It's not zoned for that. I heard there were, from the meeting I was here last time, they said it was, they were given citations, but nothing has been done. Get them out. I don't understand. If they've had, so many citations for this site, it's an eyesore coming into my community, my beautiful community of Lakeview. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Chase, I'm going to tell you that I know Fred Jowers, my building commissioner, is back there. He's going to follow up with you. Maybe he can tell you what the status of any of the citations that they appeared in front of court and what the court has or has not done. Freddie, if you could do that, stand up there and wave. Thank you. Okay? Thank you. Next, I have Richard Catalano. Good evening. Your name and address for the record.
Richard Catalano, 82 Whitehall Boulevard, Garden City. I'm a member of the grassroots group Say No to the Casino Civic Association. We're a group of concerned residents throughout Nassau County concerned about building the second largest casino in the country here in the heart of our county. I urge everybody on the council to visit our website. It's nocasinonassau.org to learn about 9 key reasons why the proposed casino is wrong for residents in the town of Hempstead, wrong for Nassau County, and wrong for Long Island. It will invariably increase traffic, crime, pollution, gambling addictions, DWI fatalities, and will also decrease our home values and our overall quality of life. First, I want to express some disappointment about the inactions of the town of Hempstead today. Despite a rezoning proposal that is likely the most significant threat to our quality of life since I've been on this earth, which is 63 years, we have received zero information as residents as far as how this zoning process is going to proceed, though we receive a lot of literature from the town of Hempstead about a lot less important things. This is an unprecedented request for a resort district, for a casino complex that will have more square footage than the Empire State Building, more square footage than Roosevelt Field. It's an enormous complex that they want to plot right in the heart of our county. I would like to spend the rest of my time briefly talking about why I believe this is a problem from drunk driving. DWI fatalities are way too high on Long Island. We've lost 763 innocent lives since 2012. That is about 5 per month. We recently lost a family in Massapequa, 2 teenagers in Jericho, a young couple in Laurel Hollow, and there's a variety of reasons for that. However, if you put this proposed casino in the middle of Nassau County, in that location, with 12,450 parking spots, they have to have a lot of parking spots because nearly everybody is going to drive to this casino, it will invariably lead to drunk driving. If any of you have ever been to a casino, you know that they serve alcohol, you know that they give complimentary beverages to their high rollers, and you know that people are going to leave that casino drunk. If only 0.5% of the people coming to that casino leave drunk, that is an extra 60 drunk drivers on our roads each and every day. And deaths have happened. Last September, a drunk driver from Mohegan Sun ran over a mother and her son. Back in 2009, a pre-med student from Islip, Elizabeth Durante, was killed by a drunk driver, also from Mohegan Sun. And I just want everybody on the council to think about the implications. Are you ready to wake up one morning and to read about a drunk driver going in the wrong direction on Meadowbrook Parkway, killing some innocent residents of the town of Hempstead? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Catalano. Rest assured, when hearings are going to be done, they'll be publicly known, and there'll be significant attention paid so people know to come down and express either their opposition or support to anything that may or may not be built at that location. Next, I have Lisa Gott. Good evening, your name and address, please.
Lisa Gahn, North Freeport Avenue, Point Lookout, New York. I am here, as well as a large number of people, because of a situation that we've become aware of, and we want to make sure that you folks are aware of it so that something can be done. The town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, I believe, is guilty of an egregious and grossly negligent pattern of conduct. We have a couple of people here tonight whose animals were picked up. Apparently, the no-kill shelter, which it's my understanding the town shelter is, then sends animals to Central Veterinary, and within hours of picking them up, so there's no holding period, there's no protocols, there's no process. Apparently, there's not even a listing when they pick up an animal. Within hours of picking them up, these people's pets have been euthanized. As a group of animal lovers, I can tell you that we all go above and beyond what any of you folks can ever imagine to save animals and to get them neutered and what have you, to do our part. And what I thought the first time I heard about it was just a horrible accident. It's apparently a repeated pattern of behavior. It's beyond my comprehension that I live in a town where that can even be possible. And you know what? We live in a world where we're so worried about people, running people over and taking off with their cars and everything else. What are we teaching our children? There's no respect for any life. The only species on planet Earth that kills something for a reason other than food are human beings. So these animals, as you will hear tonight, they were tested. The test did not show one valid reason why these animals were euthanized, and yet they were euthanized. Within feet of their homes, within hours of being picked up. And in one case, I will tell you that I think the people that called the town thought that they were doing a good deed because they called a no-kill shelter for an animal that they thought might be in distress. And within 2 hours of picking it up, it was killed by Central Vet. I need to understand, and I need to have a guarantee from the town of Hempstead that my tax dollars are not paying for people to kill animals that I'm devastated and they're not even my pets. I cannot believe I live in this town and this has been a repeated pattern of behavior. It needs to change. The people that you're going to hear from tonight that are here to speak demand that change, and I think that Central Vet, their contract needs to be canceled immediately because clearly nobody's vetting them, nobody's monitoring them, and whatever's going on has to be illegal. I can't believe it's not. Thank you.
Steve Austin. Can you name and address, please? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Steve Ralston. My address is 823 Stanton Avenue in Walton. I'm a resident of 37 years. I didn't know I was against casinos until the proposal was made to build one right here in peaceful Nassau County. Started to do the research. Hofstra University has done much more research than many of us here, so I'm going to start by citing a paragraph from a recently published public policy paper from Hofstra University's National Center for Suburban Studies. The title of the Hofstra paper is The Economic Unsuitability of a Casino at the Nassau County Hub. It was issued in May 2023. Over the past decade, a carefully forged consensus has emerged to focus Long Island's public and private resources on expanding high-paying, knowledge-based industries. Key strategies include investing in research and educational opportunities to fill the jobs of the future that exist now and providing additional housing that is appealing and affordable to well-trained young workers whose services Long Island is competing with other regions. The proposal to develop a casino, this is Hofstra University's words, the proposal to develop a casino at the Nassau County Hub is completely at odds with the stated regional economic development priorities that government, business, labor, human service, and other stakeholders agree are critical to the long-term economic health of Long Island. So, as I do the research, I'm shocked that our legislators recently voted 17-1 to let this pass through. Because even Bruce Blakeman said he doesn't gamble. There's a good reason he doesn't gamble. We don't want to lose our money. It's not a pleasure, pleasant recreation for most people who gamble, sadly. There are much more worthy projects. Days after Mr. Blakeman and fellow legislators allowed the casino project to go forward, he welcomed the cooperation agreement between NYU Langone and Nassau Community College. Such an expansion of our valued universities and medical groups is exactly the type of growth projects we all seek, for growth which enhances the quality of life in Nassau County. It helps us all. A casino degrades neighborhoods for 10 miles around, according to the Illinois Law Review. A casino will not enhance our quality of life. Please, let's put our energy into projects which help the community, such as the NYU Langone Nassau Community College Alliance. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Next I have Danica Ruggie. Good evening, good name and address, thanks. Pleasure.
Good evening, Danica Brugge, Merrick, New York. I am the proud daughter of Diane Madden and have witnessed her strong leadership and advocacy here in this building for at least 12 years, 14 years here, since my son, Connor, lover of dogs, was born. It's fair to say that Diane Madden is an inspiration to many of us here and is known for her impact to raise, encourage, and inspire genuine leaders. As a parent of 3 young children, as well as a well-respected leader of 425 elementary school children, we teach our children that we all make mistakes, but the important thing about mistakes is that we learn from them. Again, we all make mistakes. The important thing about those mistakes is that we learn from them. But yet, here we sit with the same mistakes being made over and over again. These mistakes are unacceptable. Supervisor Clavin, you have started to break this cycle of mistakes over and over again. But now it's time to finish it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. Next I have Joan Craig. Joan Craig.
Joanne.
So I'm reading it how it's coming up on my screen, so like I always say to everybody, I'm gonna mull your name at some point here, so I apologize, and that's okay. People mull mine. How you doing? Your proper saying of your name and address. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Joan Craig. I'm here to tell Joe's story of the last 8 hours of his life, and I'm here to demand change at the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. Saturday, September 2nd, at 8:37 a.m., we received a message from our cat sitter. Morning, let the kitties out. They had enough food and fresh water. 9 a.m., random neighbor up the street picks up Toast from his yard. Toast was friendly and purring, but he thinks for some reason he's ill. He wouldn't eat from him. He just eaten. 9:57, Toast was brought to the shelter and was reported by the Good Samaritan he might be ill. The shelter never takes the picture, never lists him on a lost and found page. They watch him. 11:20, they transport him on to Animal Hospital. They decide, without any medical vet on staff, that he's ill and he needs attention. 11:30, he's admitted to Montauk Animal Hospital, and he came in quiet, alert, and responsive. 11:30 to 2, he had a battery of tests, IVs, x-rays, ultrasounds, all vitals appear normal, diagnosed with dehydration, temperature of 100. Recommend continued care, but they're closing at 3 o'clock, which the shelter should know, so they send him to Valley Stream, not locally, to another 24-hour vet. Somehow, at 2:55, he arrives at Central Vet with no paperwork from Montauk Animal Hospital. And somehow, the vet, CBA, reports that Toast arrived lateral, non-responsive, with temperature of 96. They also reported that he had a leg injury, occurred on transit. Well, we have still not been provided an answer what happened to our cat on transit with the shelter. 4 p.m., after another round of tests was conducted and concluded, he's left to be monitored. He's dehydrated. 6 p.m., he is euthanized. None of this would have happened if policies and procedures were followed by your staff and they had held him properly for the 5 days and did not try and diagnose him. If you had reputable veterinary staff and 24-hour medical care, they could have been the judge and taken care of him. This could have never happened to a proper lost and found department that utilized today's technology and free social media to just post to help find the owner. And this also would have never happened if you had better trained staff to manage the facility, like someone like Diane Madden. So I conclude, in the name of Toast, I never want this to happen to another cat. That was the most horrendous 8 hours of his life. And the animal shelter should be responsible. I conclude.
Next up, Scott Gray. Good evening, you can give an address, thanks.
My name is Scott Craig, 1537 James Road, Montauk. How many people in this room have a pet? Okay. So we all know what it takes to care for a pet, and a commitment to a pet. It's a lifelong commitment, their life. So Toast was 14 years old. 14 solid years. We had another cat, still do, who's 13, and a dog who's 7. Toast ran the show over at the house. He told everyone what to do. He got cared for. He went to the vet when he needed it, got his checkups, got his heartworm pills, got his flea and tick medicine. He was cared for. He wandered down the street, about 4 or 5 houses, to the only neighbor I don't know in my whole neighborhood, and I've been living there for 23 years. And they decide he looks sick. Let's take him up to the no-kill shelter in Montauk. Okay, good idea. They'll take care of him. Maybe get some chip. Maybe they can find a home. But no, they don't have a lost and found. They don't take a picture. They don't do anything. You take an animal there, they don't even have a log. You need a log. Take a picture, put it in the log, what day, what time. Simple stuff. Am I wrong? Okay. So from there, they take, Joan just told you the story. My experience is I go in there later in the week, after the cat doesn't show up, for days now. And my experience is they, we didn't see that cat. Look in the back. So I look in the back, no cat. Posted on Facebook, and in no time, I get a response from the whole community. And the woman who brought him in responds to me through Wanto Mamas. Yeah, we took a cat that looks like yours to the shelter, and it was him. She gave me the case number. I go in there the next day, I go to Jane at the front office, and she tells me, oh, the cat was put down Sunday. I'm like, what? Put down Sunday? You brought him in Saturday. Story gets better. He wasn't put down Sunday, he was put down Saturday. Talk about 5 days, talk about 8 hours. The cat was dead in 8 hours. She should never have brought him there. They made a mistake. They thought they were bringing him to a safe place. But the story is, you need a lost and found. You need people at that desk who have decency and animal lovers. They care about animals and me, and people who have a problem like that. And then you need, Ashley, the supervisor, told me, your cat is riddled with cancer. And we had to put him down, which is a lie. There's nothing that says he was riddled with cancer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Craig.
Thank you, but we need change.
Arlene, thank you so much. Arlene Walker? Arlene Walker? Okay. Next, Stacy Fishman? Stacy Fishman? There you go. Anyone, if you give your name and address, thank you.
Merrick, Stacy Fishman. I called the shelter, town Hempstead, Wanton Shelter, to see, if they euthanize cats, because I found a cat that looked like it would belong to somebody. And they said, no, they only do it when there's a really, really sick cat. So luckily, I had a private scanner, someone that had a scanner to see if there's a chip, and I found the owners of this indoor outdoor cat. But it was very disappointing to hear about what happened here, because I thought that things had changed there, and that you had, taken care of this problem. And these are living creatures, they're just as important as us, and I would like to see some change with this procedures and how you handle things. As there's lost and found, and there's, time to have cats, I think 5 days might be too short, but there should be some kind of database as well. Thank you.
Jessica Marconi?
Hello, my name is Jessica Marcotti. I live at 77 Mineola Avenue in Point Lookout. I'm here to hold the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter accountable. Frankly, I have a horrible pet dander allergy, and I can only appreciate a cat or dog from a distance, but I have seen the love my best friends have for their animals, and the comfort that an animal can bring a person who is grieving or struggling in one way or another. It's unacceptable to allow the lives of people's beloved pets to be in the hands of someone who's trying to get off work early that day. Let's raise the standard here. I'm sorry my friend's cat had to be an example to bring on change that desperately needs to happen. You all have pets, and we all want the same thing. Let's take some reasonable steps to protect the welfare of our animals. Enforce the protocol of a 5-day hold. We need full-time veterinary care for animals that are being brought into a facility. And we want a frequently updated online page with photos that you could maybe take with a smartphone in your pocket to allow families to rescue their pets from a shelter that claims to be acting in their interest. If you have any questions, you can ask Tate Simmons. She's already saved more animals in her 25 years than this shelter ever has. Thank you.
Susan McCarthy? No? Okay. Lynn Crow? Good evening, your name and address, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Krug. I live at 2 Wyler Court in Garden City. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm just trying to get my notes up. I apologize. Technology, not my thing. We receive a lot of communications from the town of Hempstead, usually in the form of colorful flyers. They can be very informative on a variety of topics of interest to residents. But there's one topic consistently missing. That topic is one of the most important developments in the history of our town. The potential construction of one of the world's largest casinos in our backyard. There has been nothing about the process, nothing what's underway. There's been no reassurance that the processes that are underway, the studies and reviews that are supposed to be safeguarding us from all bad decisions, are being done in a fair and objective manner. Instead, there is silence. We are not naive. We know there are tremendous political and financial pressures being brought to bear, so the silence leads me and others at the grassroots level to wonder who's watching out for us. Are our concerns even being heard? I don't mind the mailings. It's always nice to see Supervisor Clavin, Councilman Muscarella, Miss Murray, and Mr. Driscoll's smiling faces, shaking people's hands, cutting ribbons, and protecting us from the sharks. Thank you for keeping them in Nassau and not sending them to Peconic Bay. But to those of us who fear the perils of a 9-acre casino being railroaded into our town, we need to see some transparency, any transparency, to the review and approval process. Right now, there doesn't appear to be anything happening. If you are doing your diligence, report it to the residents. We need to know. The silence only leads us to assume that the deals and decisions are taking place behind closed doors in the hopes that no one will notice. I'm here to assure you that we are noticing. And just to let you know, on the way back from cut short this evening on the LIE. I'm very happy I was able to make the meeting. At 4:30 in the afternoon at exit 58, Jake's Casino was packed. The LIE stopped. I looked at the parking lot. It was jammed. Do we really need that in the town of Hempstead? I think no. So please say no to the casino. Thank you.
When something transpires there, of course, we're going to have public hearings, and we're going to ask all of our friends and neighbors to come down and voice either their opposition or support before a decision is made. It just isn't at that point yet, let alone, I think it's fair to say we don't even know what's going to transpire because we don't even know what's going on with the state level. So I would definitely urge you to reach out to the governor's office as well, give you input there, significant amounts of input. Next I have Joanne Cave. How you doing, name and address, thanks.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Cave. I'm a former resident of West Hempstead. I grew up and lived in the city for 32 years. My mom and dad are still in the house I grew up in, and I'm an animal advocate. Hearing the story broke my heart, and I felt the need to come tonight to express how saddened I was to read about poor Toast and Spirit's outcome, because I, for the last 10 years, have held a position with the Humane Society of the United States, so I do a tremendous amount of advocacy in and around Long Island. And the thought that something like this could happen at a well-funded municipal shelter is extremely frightening, and there's no excuse in plain English. There just is no excuse. Both Toast and Spirit should be here. There immediately should be an intake when any animal is brought in as a stray. And at the very minimum, New York Animal Care and Control has a 72-hour holding period, in which time they're searching through various databases to search for lost pets that might fit the description of an animal that is brought in. Where I live now in Smithtown, they have a 5-day holding period for animals, and that animal is immediately put on their social media page so that someone who might live in the neighborhood could be reunited with their pet. So this situation that has taken place is just inexcusable, and no microchip does not mean that there's no home. No collar does not mean that there is no home. And finally, speaking for 2 cats that I myself have at home that are both ear-tipped, they're my pets, and they have a home. So an ear-tip alone also is not a reason to assume that a cat doesn't have a home. So really, Town of Hempstead needs to do better. There's no excuse, and I sincerely hope that this tragedy that has happened will not be in vain, and that both this will be the inspiration that's needed in order to have some meaningful changes happen. And I've heard very negative things about the veterinarian, the shelter is contracted with, Valley Stream Central, I believe it's called. So that's something also that should definitely be looked into.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in. Next up, Leslie Simmons. Hey, doing if you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Hi, Leslie Simmons. I live at 115 Lynbrook in Point Lookout. And I'll start by reiterating that if the town had followed a hold protocol, my cat Spirit would still be alive. Spirit was euthanized before I even knew he was missing. When he was wearing his collar, he was a collared animal, indicating he's a pet. He was picked up only a couple of feet away from our property line, only about an hour or 2 after I let him out. He was also, the woman that called about him was not even from town. She was from Virginia, visiting my neighbor who lived directly behind me. Everyone on my block knew Spirit. They knew he had broken his leg 6 months prior, and I spent lots of time and money at Long Island Veterinary Specialists, where the orthopedist there did an amazing job preparing and casting his leg. I took him every week to have that cast changed, and it cost me a fortune, but I didn't care because we loved him to death. After on April 16th, when he was picked up by the town of Hempstead, he was taken to Central Vet in Valley Stream. There, his vitals were done and taken and reported as normal. Then he was put through roughly $1,300 worth of other tests, which were basically also normal for a cat his age. He was 17, even though on the paperwork they said he was 9, but they didn't know, because he, to them, was a stray. After all those tests that were normal, they euthanized him, even though the tests were normal, based on the fact that his leg was stiff. That's the way it had to be set, but he maneuvered on. They said he had no teeth. He hadn't had teeth for years. He was very happy without his teeth. And then the other thing, they said he was underweight. He was underweight because we had just found out, literally like a day or two before I had him at the vet because he was losing weight, we found out that he had hyperthyroidism, and we were getting ready to put him on medication. The vet was just getting that ready for us. Anyway, his total bill was $1,500. That was for my cat. When I got the FOIL report, the 60-day bill for Central Vet was $27,000. Now, how many of those pets were actually euthanized? I don't know because I haven't foiled up all the other reports yet. Do the math and figure out how much the town is paying this vet hospital yearly to either, euthanize pets or just not do what's right medically for them. This animal hospital, you need to cut them off. Sever your ties, sever the contract. Because they have a terrible reputation. Go and investigate it. Look at all the bad reports. They are not medically capable, and they are fiscally super irresponsible. The other thing I need to mention is the apathetic, unfriendly, uncaring attitude at the front desk of the shelter. That needs to change.
Thank you very much. Rogelio Rodriguez? Patricia Terrell? Patricia Terrell? Katie Fisher?
Wait, hold on. Patricia's coming. She's here.
Okay.
She'll take
All
her
right.
well.
You got it. How you doing? Can you give me name and address for the record? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pat Terrellong. I live at 1187 Ossipee Road, West Hempstead. I'm also president of the Tuskegee in the New York tri-state area. One morning, I went to go out of my house, and there was a raccoon, and I couldn't open the door. He moved slightly, and I thought maybe, raccoon's supposed to be in the dark or something during the day. But I went and checked on him, he never left, and he was dead and flies were around him. I could not find anybody to help me get rid of this raccoon so I could get out of the house. I had to call in Dorothy Goodsby's office, and I asked them, is there any way they could help me? And they really went to bat for me, but nobody would come. Finally, I said, okay, Pat, you were raised by a man, and put on your big girl underwear. Get out there some kind of way. So I went to the garage, I put on a mask. I got 2 garbage bags. I'm sorry. And I went to pick it up, and the hair fell out. And finally I got it. My neighbor ran over, and he helped me. We put it in the garbage bag. I didn't even know what to do with it, so I put it out with the garbage. Later on that day, I heard of 9 other sick raccoons. I have been sick since the day I touched that raccoon, even though I had gloves on. And that obviously they were all sick, and I'm wondering what is going on. Maybe it's something we need to address. And I thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I'm actually going to ask, right there. I'm going to have my counsel meet you in the back right now. If you can go meet Pat in the back and get the information on that so we can kind of see if there's something going on that we can investigate. Okay, Pat? She's going to take her right in the back. If you can go give her a helping hand. Thank you. Ms. Fisher, now it's your turn. Katie Fisher? Okay, Steve, go to that.
Hi, Katie Fisher, Point Lookout. I saw many of you raise your hand when we were asked earlier who here has a pet. This is not only affecting cats, but it's affecting dogs as well. There's been multiple dogs killed by the town of Hempstead. So I'll keep this brief, but I just want many of you that raised your hands, or those of you who don't have a pet that go to somebody's house that have a pet, to imagine leaving here. It's been a long day for all of us, and who's on the other side of the door to eagerly greet you? They're not there anymore. Maybe your middle schooler let them out on accident, maybe they got out the back door, who knows what happened, but within hours, while you were at work and you came home, they'd been killed. This is not right, and it needs to change. I'm asking you guys to enforce the protocol of a longer hold, to hire full-time veterinary staff that care about animals and show compassion towards them. And I'm asking you for a frequently updated page where pet owners can go to find their missing pets and relocate them. This is not hard stuff to do. And I know that anybody who has an animal and who can put themselves in the shoes of the people here today that are coming up to speak can understand why this needs to happen immediately. Thank you.
Next I have Tate Simmons. How you doing? If you can name and address of the record, thank you.
You probably can't see these, but they're there. Tate Simmons, 115 Limerick Avenue. This April, I received news that my 17-year-old cat Spirit was horrifically euthanized by the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter in conjunction with the shelter's contracted vet hospital, Central Associates in Valley Stream. The morning of April 16th, Spirit was let outside for his usual after-breakfast outing. Spirit was a loving and healthy older cat who had just healed 100% a broken leg with many more years ahead. Let me also mention, like my mom said, he was cleared by all vets. April 16th, only 1 hour after letting Spirit out, he had ventured over the fence to the house directly behind us to a company visiting from Virginia. Unfamiliar to the cat, they called town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, picked Spirit up immediately. Apparently his old age made him a candidate to being abandoned even though he had a collar on. Interesting. Town of Hempstead Animal Control came, no questioning. Did you ask around to see if this cat belonged to someone? He has a collar on. Nothing. My cat was abducted 6 feet off my property line, and I'm coming after the board for not having protocol attached to this. Days after Spirit not returning home and searching everywhere, we eventually found out that the animal control unit was called, hence its disappearance. I thought, this is great news, right? Because the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter is a no-kill shelter and has a 5-day lost and found protocol. Wrong. It's 25-year-old mine, I don't, maybe, you guys can explain that to me better. Since this was the weekend, there were no vets on call. Because of this, Spirit was brought straight to Central Vet. He never even made it to the shelter itself. The vet on call took one look at his healed leg and old age, and from there, made the decision to throw his collar in the garbage and euthanize him within an hour. The vet ran tests that racked up quite a bill, and after reviewing his results, as my mom mentioned, nothing was wrong with my cat. Central Vet is just making quick, easy money on these BS tests and utilizing taxpayers' dollars to do so. If you don't like animals, you like money, right? Well, it's going to the wrong places. What am I demanding? Bring in Diane Madden to oversee that staff is properly trained and protocols being followed. Bring in 1 to 2 more vets, then outsourcing this money-hungry vet's office all the way in Valley Stream that's killing people's beloved pets. Lastly, what about the 5-day hold for the lost and found? Where are the pets supposed to be posted on social media?
try to find the last time a lost and found cat was posted on Facebook. Zero effort was done by the town of Hempstead, no hold, no Facebook post, no community outreach, nothing. That's embarrassing. Pure laziness. I work for one of the largest fashion companies with over $600 million in global worth and single-handedly run over 15 social media channels daily, and you're telling me that we can't have a working lost and found page with one employee? I'll even come and train the staff yourself just so they understand. It'll take me 1 hour. Let me be clear, I promise you right now, you will see me every single meeting. Chris Carini, I see the look of you're scared, you see what's going on here. I need the two of you to make change. This is up to you. Please and thank you.
I'm not scared, sir. I'm listening to you. I own a dog, and I understand exactly what you're saying to me. I'm going to have a talk with my colleagues who obviously review the process, okay? Not scared. I'm listening. I own a dog. I had an 18, 19-year-old dog that was old at the very end. The most heartbreaking thing you can do is put down a dog. I am listening. I will talk about that and we'll read that.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. Thank you, Councilman Caridi, for that response. I mean, personally, I'd be sitting down with these families and working with them. Someone that has that kind of skill in social media should be someone that is on your team, not the other side. What's sad about this is that it's so preventable. It was preventable. I presented recommendations back in April when Spirit was destroyed. You need 2 full-time, on-staff, in-house, highly reputable veterinarians to work with the team, and by the way, Supervisor Clavin, in the direction that you chose, thankfully, to put the shelter in. You need a full-time, and by the way, I recommended this, it was the first recommendation to your appointee many months ago. I said the first thing you need to do there is put experienced, full-time staff in charge of vital departments such as lost and found. But instead, it's the same old business as usual. You have a bunch of part-timers sweating, wearing 10 hats, trying to keep up with very important departments, and animals are being killed because of it. You need someone to oversee a full-time department, lost and found department, and to bring it into this decade. You need to bulk up kennel staff. They work half the time at a skeleton staff. How is any acting director or director, whoever you put in there, supposed to make that shelter successful if there aren't enough people to put the pieces together? The acting director, by the way, she needs professional guidance, not political grooming. That's what she needs. And she needs to start asking for help instead of making excuses. Supervisor Clavin, you've made some really humane decisions. You've been the first in 4 administrations to do that. You've even changed management, which is, I owe you a kidney for that. But not everybody in this town got the memo that that's the direction you want the shelter to go in. Not everybody's getting this memo. I personally hit walls trying to get probably one of the best employees in there to help cats. Finally, it took about 4 months. I'm asking you to reject every excuse that's put before you because they're limitless. I've never seen a shelter operate on so many excuses, but I need you to reject those excuses and implement direct orders from you. Every time you made an independent decision, it was the best one. So I urge you to do that. And I think meeting with these families will be a lot more productive, and it will be proactive instead of reactive. And by the way, I would have loved to have seen any one of you, and by the way, I'm thankful for the direction until this happens. And I have to come here because I have to separate myself from that. These families deserve an apology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Valerie.
Good evening, name and address, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Supervisor, Town Board, Valerie Heffron, Greenville, South Carolina, founder of Voters for Voiceless, an independent
an IEC registered with the New York State Board of Elections and former town of Hempstead resident. Many of you know me. By all means, before you dismiss my comments, because I no longer reside here, I just want to let you know I brought a few friends with me tonight, and I have a few more. So let's pay attention to this. I want to put the swords down. Too long, there has been an us against them situation, animal advocates fighting with elected officials, fighting with management, etc. What I want to do is point out the solutions. First of all, let's identify the problem. The town has a long history of breaking its own laws as it pertains to the Hempstead Animal Shelter. You've heard a lot about lost and found tonight. I want to address another one. The town has a policy, which makes total common sense, that any animal adopted or fostered, the behavioral history must be disclosed to the family. Well, that didn't happen with Maria Koopman, which is now an appellate court case in the Supreme Court of New York. Index number 607862/19. The shelter broke its own policy that mandates they disclose behavioral, all behavioral history. So what happened? 4 days after this dog, Miko, was adopted, viciously mauled the adopter, Ms. Koopman, breaking both of her arms, severed tendons, broken bones, and multiple lacerations. My point to you is this. When laws are broken, animals die, people get hurt, taxpayers get robbed. This case has now hit over $1 million in taxpayer-funded legal fees. But what's the bigger picture? Here's your solution. For years, since before I became an animal advocate, Diane Madden has been in the press, presenting solutions on a silver platter to you. She was right about the lost and found rules back in 2017 when a dog named Oso was killed in under 24 hours. She was right when she warned about the animals being wrongfully distributed to a shelter upstate that was shut down for animal abuse and neglect. She was right when you asked her, this administration asked her for her advice, should we put in Ashley Barons as the acting director? She said, I'd rather you cast a wide net, but if you're going to give someone a chance to internally, give it to her. She was right. She was right when she came here months ago and couldn't stand what happened to Tate's cat. And she sent you the solutions on a silver platter and said, please don't let this happen again. But they don't listen to her. I'm tired for years of seeing her be treated like a backdoor mistress. People pick her brain, deputy commissioners call her for her advice, but they don't listen. That's your answer. Listen to Diane Madden, bring her into the shelter, and pay her.
Someone left their phone?
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I know, but someone left their phone here.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcia DiTiero, New York. Kudos to anyone that loves animals. I love animals, I love trees. I think they all deserve to live harmoniously with everyone. And mentioning independent decision versus with tree preservation, 2 members voting no. That's sad. I check the agenda each month with hopes that the board will come to their senses by promoting tree preservation. Every day another home is bought, every tree removed, and homes enlarged, saplings or bushes replace the trees that once shaded, and brought peace with noise buffers and literally peace of mind and tranquility to homeowners, neighbors, and wildlife that depend on them for their survival. Even though the 7th State Parkway, going north and south, Sunrise Highway, to my south, didn't disrupt the peace that we once had. Now it sounds as if cars, trucks, and motorcycles sound like they're in my backyard. I am sure I am not the only person who misses a quiet, peaceful day with the sounds of birds and a cool breeze. What are the benefits of removing all the old growth native trees? Just more money for developers and in towns' pockets with increased taxes. What are the constituents going to benefit? Suggestions of low-cost and no-cost right-of-way trees that can resolve so many problems were ignored by the board. by volunteering to do a walkthrough with the town and ask constituents if they want tree preservation was ignored. So many requests of tree preservations were put into place by hundreds of constituents we never put on the calendar due to 2 of the 7 board members, not the majority, not wanting tree preservation. Consequences develop every day, including increased skin cancer, hotter weather, less rain, and lack of oxygen. We are so disappointed in your lack of compassion for those that cannot speak up for themselves. Don't be the minority, go with the majority of townships that want and know what's best for the constituents, protecting our environment, including everything that depends on mature trees to survive, our neighborhoods, not just parks. And on behalf of the animal shelter, I am a volunteer there, and there are a lot of good employees, and I see them so short-staffed, doing 20 things at once. You need full-time vets there, that when an intake happens, it doesn't get shipped off to Central Vet, which I know how many cats died when COVID was going on and they were doing the TNR. I know you have a contract with them. It needs to be null and void. They're a horrible vet. I've had a cat that horrible things happen. I like Ashley. There are really good people there. But they're working.
Thank you, Ms.
And they can't do the job without our employees.
We appreciate your testimony. I don't have any other slips, and we should be heard. If not, have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming today. You can raise it up. I said Edgewell should be heard, but please join us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That's okay.
How you doing, all right?
You go to the back, Mike? Please, sir. Thank you.
On my way. Thanks, Val.
How you doing? Give your name and address. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Tommy Kamisa. I grew up in this town. I grew up in Franklin Square, spent 28 years living there, and I live up in Glenhead with my wife and 4 children, 19 Locust Avenue in Glenhead. 2 years ago, I began a journey to learn, to educate, and to advocate on behalf of animals. And I gotta be honest with you, I didn't really know much about animals. We had a Chihuahua one time, bought him at a pet shop. I learned never to do that again, thanks to some of my friends that are in the room right here about don't shop, right? As a result of this program that we do each week, the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, we got a new family member, and his name is Cheeto. And we rescued Cheeto. And Cheeto wouldn't have lived if we didn't rescue him, that's what they told me. So it's important to learn about this stuff, and it's important to do this work. And as Danica said earlier, we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. I don't know a lot, but I know that. And that's what I try to instill in my children. And I don't know much about this shelter, especially, except for what I've learned from my partner in the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, Valerie Heffron, who made a long trip to be here today because that's how much she cares about animals. I also learned today what a big freaking deal this Diane Madden is. Shout out to Diane Madden. We love you, Diane. I think about this. I think about checks and balances. Some unfortunate circumstances happened when these animals got out. But the shelter was supposed to do the right thing to protect these animals. It didn't. I'm the nonprofit sector connector. Every single day I hang out with nonprofit leaders who are overworked, under-budgeted, and they change the world. I can't believe I get $5.5 million a year. I cannot believe that this shelter, with the support of this town, can't do half the job that my nonprofit friends are doing. And I challenge you, Mr. Clayman and friends, please, let's work together, as my friends have said today. Let's make it a better lifetime. Let's make it better for these animals. I had a couple of quotes. I got 54 seconds left. If I can get to my phone. Let's just say this. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world, because in fact it is the only thing that ever has. Realize that. It's important to all you people here advocating. The world doesn't change if you don't get out here and do something about it. And Valerie, my quote from Gandhi is escaping me right now, but the treatment of the animals represents the moral progress that a nation has. And it's our responsibility to protect these animals because they can't protect themselves. So I look forward to working together and make this a win-win-win situation. Make it a great night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much for coming out. this evening, and have a safe ride home. Bye-bye.